Prime was something that I created in a dormitory room at Florida State University because some agent was intelligent enough to give me some rhetoric on how much each player made in the NFL. And I saw right then that defensive backs wasn't paid what they were worth. And I created the character. I already had a nickname out of high school from basketball, Prime Time. But I enhanced that character. I had a little black book full of quotes that I would have, that I would spit out on occasion. Bang! Return a pump for a touchdown in college. How do you feel about that play? Baby, I thought y'all knew I'm the best Texas peanut butter and jelly. I had already rehearsed that for weeks. If you kick the ball or throw the ball to me, you're gonna hear the band play. I had already scripted that.
I said, you know, what was it like? He said, Pat, it's prime time and about time. So back to you.
Prime was a character. Dion is something that they really never met. He was too subtle. He was too subdued. He wasn't going to cause no disturbance or no smoke. You wasn't going to turn on your TV set to see him or to jeer him. No, you wanted Prime, and I gave you that.
Together again. Showtime, prime time. You know what that means? Like it's New Year, 92, and what time is it? Showtime, prime time. Okay.
Prime time. Obviously prime time.
That's prime.
Of course, prime time.
Prime time.
Prime time, Deion Sanders.
Deion Sanders, cornerback, Florida State.
Prime time's coming to Atlanta, huh?
I want everybody at the airport. I want everybody in Atlanta there.
Prime time. Prime time. Deion, the greatest player ever played football. Prime time.
The show has just begun.
You go to the club and I'm DJing. That prime time hour is when everybody's paying attention. That prime time hour is when the club is at its highest. So in football, it felt the same when Deion stepped on the field. Anybody that the opposite team decided that we can't throw the ball to that man's side, that's prime time.
Prime time does it again.
It's on today, baby. And I'm gonna get sick with it.
You wanted to kind of look like Prime when you were growing up. We used to wear the headband around your neck. That was like a real big thing when we grew up. You know, Prime was like what you wanted to be, right? So you score a touchdown when you're 11, 12-year-old kid, and you start doing the prime time dance into the end zone.
He had it all over, dancing and even off the field, wearing his gold chains and flashy.
You can't say stuff like that.
You seen his personality, that's just something that made you want to play in this game.
And his pass is intercepted. They're not catching him down the sideline. Deion Sanders. He's going to do a number on the crowd here.
This is my house. I built this. I don't care if I'm with the Falcons or not. This is my house, and this will always be my house. Now let's continue.
Got my jersey on.
I feel like he brought culture. I won't say hip-hop culture, just a different type of culture to football.
This little fat lady is humming.
He says if you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you play good. If you play good, they pay good.
And here is Deion Primetime Sanders.
He's a rap elite, you know what I'm saying? That's what we call those guys. You look like a rapper and an athlete, you know what I'm saying? We call them a rap elite. And he was the first to do it.
Too legit to quit. Falcon.
Anytime you hobnobbing with MC Hammer, at the height of his career, you are officially a star.
How long have you been a Falcon fan?
I've been a Deion Sanders fan first, then a Falcon fan.
To carry a nickname into the professional levels as well as college and not only live up to it, but to exceed it? Wow, I'm gonna have a look away so you can understand the moment. You got it?
I want you in just 10 or 12 words to say the first thing that comes into your mind, but without mentioning their names.
Brett Favre.
So many quarterbacks at that time were CEOs. They knew that, in essence, they always had to say the right thing. They had to play the game. They had to put their suit and tie on after the game and stand in front of the cameras. And Favre just didn't care about that. He always felt like, I'm just going to be me.
Marty, scratch right behind my shoulder pad. This side? Oh, right back here. Up, right there. Oh, yeah.
He just is who he is. He's a Southern boy from Kiln, Mississippi.
And we got a dandy brewing.
Who loves playing football, and he's a funny guy.
Hey, you got any left-handed footballs? I got some advice for y'all. Take 2 weeks off, then quit.
He's the type of guy that anybody would love to sit down and have a beer with.
Put her in the old vice. Keith Jackson. Just the other morning I had breakfast at Tracy Rocker's house. His mama brought out 15 flapjacks. He said, Mama, take back 5 of them flapjacks. I gotta stay hungry for the Crimson Tide. Man, them were some tight pants you got on, Bubba. TJ's all waist, no legs. Look at him. He looks like an ostrich. Look at Snyder. He looks like the hunchback from Notre Dame with that quasi-white shoes moto. There's Mr. Miyagi up here on the team on the board. Oh, yeah. Wax on, wax off. How you doing?
You thought I was taller than this, huh?
I thought you were taller than me. Hey, how about Mr. Miyagi coming up talking to me? My head's getting bigger. These hats are getting smaller. Shut up. You know what time the game starts?
He regularly fell asleep in team meetings, farted his way through team meetings.
You think God never farted?
He drove Steve Mariucci, his quarterback coach, crazy because he'd have to get up and he'd have to open the door and fumigate the room at times because of Favre.
I got some cheeseburgers at half, dude. Where are they? In my locker, I'm gonna grab them.
We didn't get a whole lot done in those meeting rooms. Most of the time it was listening to Brett tell stories about whatever. Nobody can tell a story like Brett Favre.
My first game ever, 3 touchdowns running. I got in the end zone, the guy pulled my pants down.
A lot of pranks, a lot of jokes. He laughed a lot. Listen, I played 19 years in the NFL. In those 2 years with the Green Bay Packers, I think I laughed more and was more entertained during that time than I was the other 17 years of my career.
Let's have a little fun today.
He loved to be mic'd up on game days.
I don't know why we come out so early and just stand around here and do this.
He is so relaxed before games.
What a waste.
It was just who he was.
I'm sitting here just goofing off.
Brett Favre comes onto the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field in what appears to be the last ball game of his illustrious career.
He's the funniest guy on the team.
What do you think Mike would do if he knew I had a dip right now?
You have one in?
Just ain't the ice capades. Hey, good job. Cliffy, you too. Way to overcome your coaching. You know what, Andy? I love you, man.
Love to play the game and would have just played it in the parking lot at McDonald's if you'd allowed him to do that.
There was an innocence to the way Brett played the game. It wasn't necessarily a business, it was still just a game of football.
Favre steps up in the pocket, he flips it into the end zone, touchdown Green Bay.
Just the way they drew it up, huh, fellas?
You didn't have to be out there with a scowl on your face.
Brett was like a little kid playing this man's game. And his whole presence on the sideline, the way he interacted with his teammates and coaches and even the opposition, it felt like he was just out there just having a good old time being the gunslinger he was.
I describe him as a guy who threw more touchdown passes than anybody in history at the time he retired and celebrated everyone like a high school kid throwing his very first one.
He's like a prankster and a jokester, and then he just throw for 5 touchdowns. You know, he's like easygoing, but like always seemed to be having fun.
One thing you have to like about Brett Favre, he looks like he's just playing out in the playground or something. He has nothing to throw to, so he just drops a little brother, goes back, and then says, oh, what the heck, I'll find him.
I think that's the way he plays the game, like it's a playground.
Goes back to the left. He can run. No, he's still with the ball, and he is caught from behind, got away. Still throws a touchdown. Holy cow. What a play by Brett Favre. He shoveled the ball forward as he was going down.
That youthful enthusiasm that he had, it made every little kid that played be able to identify with the excitement that he had when he threw a touchdown pass and when his team won.
When Brett Favre played in that Super Bowl, you saw how excited he was. I mean, when he takes his helmet off and he runs after he throws the touchdown, it's just his love for the game and how, big that moment was, and you worked for your whole life, and that's what makes football amazing. People believe in you, they root for you, and before long, you almost know those people.
You want to call it?
Yeah, y'all want the ball?
Let's see. Best 2 out of 3. That's 1. Uh-oh. Dang it, you call it.
Welcome to Canton, everyone. This is the first time I've been on an airplane since 1979. Jim Otto sitting up there would say, I used to always tell the team, don't worry about the horse being blind, just load the wagon. Go get him.
When you think about John Madden, what comes to mind?
Suit up and shut up is what he taught you. Okay, come on, defense! Let's start off and stay after him the whole game. I didn't have a lot of rules because I saw some of the teams and the rules they had that didn't have anything to do with winning or losing. So the 3 rules that I had was, be on time, pay attention, and number 3 was play like hell when I tell you to. What the hell are you trying to do? You ever called one on them?
Madden is on the field. He wants to know if it's real. They said yes. Get your big butt out of here. He does.
He was a different looking coach. A lot of the coaches in those days with the shirt and tie and Landry, and he was totally different. He was sloppy.
John Madden shows jubilance and exuberance.
I just loved the way he acted and what he said and how he said it.
Going to the Super Bowl.
And then he took that to the booth.
When they go out in the field, you go after everything in sight.
He established a template for announcing, and he spawned a lot of really bad imitators, but there was only one John Madden.
He makes a little basketball twist there and pivot, and boom, the ball's there.
Wham, pow, boom.
Great Cook. He's pulling here. He gets walls. Boom, stay on your feet. That's it. Find another one.
Boom, and the smack, and the this, and the that.
Peyton Manning thinks he's going to make a tackle. Boom. He gets knocked right out of the screen.
I grew up with John Madden as the announcer. That was always like the voice of Sunday.
This is a father bucket. This is a mother bucket. And since the last game, they had a baby bucket. So this is a baby bucket.
I guess that clears up the question as to whether they're married or not.
It was amazing to me how much I understood when he was talking about it. It was something that was so alien to me. And the way that he broke it down, I feel like I understood so much more football from John Madden.
Boom, we cross him. The left goes to the right goes to the left. This guy crosses here, he crosses here. They have no idea where we are, who we are, where we're coming from, or who we're throwing to.
Very interesting.
Oh, here's a picture of one.
Turducken.
Yeah.
Picture. That is it.
And you see, you cut it like right down here.
Authenticity. He was the same guy. No matter where he was the same guy. And I think that all the viewers knew that's who they were listening to.
Then the minute it's over, you got to pull the pants up. Now, wait a minute. I'm the most...
John Madden was the ultimate character, right?
As I was saying, white beer tastes great. That's, to me, this is where it all starts. You see the, 7-man sled. Boom, drive. And then you can just ride it the whole thing.
Number one, people who follow and love the game respected him greatly as a coach.
John Madden's grin is from ear to ear. He looks like a slit watermelon.
He was an iconic broadcaster.
He was going like this. He was putting his hands down. I said, that's not a move when you're introduced. You don't do that.
And then in addition to that, the guy behind one of the great video games in the history of video games.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I just intercepted it.
John's really had 3 careers, and they've all been amazing. He could have gone into the Hall of Fame on any one of those levels.
I was in Canton the day he was inducted in the Hall of Fame. He was not afraid to let people know just how thrilled he was.
I can't have it. I can't take it away.
And it was one of the coolest memories I have.
This has been the sweetest ride of them all. Thank you.
As a young guy, I had a dream that someday I would build the finest organization in professional sports.
Al Davis was probably the single greatest force that the NFL has ever had.
When you met Al Davis, it was like meeting, Frank Sinatra or somebody.
Just win, baby.
The
Pride and poise, a commitment to excellence, everything he talked about, he lived about it, he brought daily.
The Godfather. You know, me growing up in the Bay Area, Oakland at that time was sort of a gritty place. We always felt like we were the stepchild, you know, and so you had this attitude. And Al sort of embodied that fight.
The prime thing is you have to win. You have to win. Otherwise, you can't be a success in professional football.
Let's go.
Our game was the throwing, the deep ball. So with that ice, we had to move those receivers in, and that narrowed the field for us. I'll never forget Pete Rozelle said to me, well, it's the same for both sides. I said, damn it, Pete, you don't even understand what you're talking about. It's not the same for both sides.
No fights? Oh, man, we got to have some fight.
Here come all the Raiders. Holy Toledo, it's a free-for-all.
We are mavericks per se. We do our own thing. We want to dominate the environment rather than just be a part of the environment. I didn't care as much about being respected as I cared about being feared and being imitated. And then respect could come after that. I love the idea that I know down deep they fear us. They fear everything about us. Winning Super Bowls is based on power and physicalness. Within the first 5 plays of a game, the other team's quarterback must go down, and he must go down hard. When we came out of the huddle, we weren't looking for first downs. We wanted touchdowns. We wanted the big play. It's like having the bomb and being willing to drop it.
The great rivalries continue.
And to the people and the community in Oakland, we're proud to represent you and we intend to hold it. Thank you.
And that New York accent, man, you know, the Raiders. You know, he's just, I can't help but smile when I think about Al Davis. He's missed, man. He was special.
The greatest organization in professional sports, the Raiders, a standard of excellence by which all other organizations could be measured.
He was his own man, certainly by any stretch of the imagination, had his way of doing things, and a lot of negative things have been said about Al, but the one thing I think that you'll find that will resonate from everyone who really knew him is that he was a very loyal guy. He loved his players, he loved the team, and he was totally committed and dedicated to putting the best possible team out there on the field. So whether you love him or you hate him, he certainly was one of the great characters in the NFL history.
This was the finest hour in the history of the Oakland Raiders. You were magnificent out there today. You really. And you tell them one thing. Just win. Just win.
Joe Namath, of course. Joe Namath, a man that has such balls he could even wear fur.
Joe Namath, to me, is the GOAT. He was Broadway Joe. He was probably the first man I was ever mildly attracted to. And maybe the last.
Now, I don't wear pantyhose, but if beauty mist can make my legs look good, imagine what they'll do for yours.
He set the bar for what a superstar is. He was doing it back in the 60s and 70s when, you know, it wasn't heard of.
We're talking about the height of the turbulent 60s. Vietnam War was going on, and it was the Hawks versus the Doves and the anti-war movement. And not only was he a great player, but it was like he was one of us, a young, hip, kind of almost hippie with sideburns and long hair. He was such an exciting presence.
From the opening whistle of the American Football League season, overflow crowds of swell Shea Stadium, wanting to see the man they've heard so much about, Joe Namath.
He had a different attitude than most of the quarterbacks.
Okay.
He was like a wrestler. He was the show when he come in.
I like to think that I'm the founder of swag in some respects, but he wasn't wearing the bling, but he was living life large. You know, braggadocious.
I think mentally, throwing the football, well, I feel confident I can play better than anybody that's ever played the position.
Namath, he is looking, he is going to throw long, and Maynard makes the catch.
Joe was more movie star than quarterback at times, you know, just in his lifestyle.
Namath is a superstar and a super swinger.
Joe come in, had a beer in one hand, a girl in the other hand.
Sometimes they talk about drinking and conniving around with ladies and stuff. It seems almost un-American to me for a bachelor not to marry, you know, go around having a drink with a lady now and then, just trying to get by. Look at that shot.
He became such a big personality that he became, in a sense, bigger than the sport.
And the guarantee?
You guys been talking for 2 weeks now. I said, I'm tired of hearing it. I said, I got news for you. We're gonna win the game, I guarantee it.
People called it arrogant. The culture at that time, you didn't do that. You didn't trash talk.
Joe Namath, of course, is the man that the Colts have to stop. But Namath has not been bashful this week. He has said that the Jets are going to win. He doesn't even predict it. He says, I guarantee. Namath, red hot. Everybody thought he'd get killed in this game. He has killed Baltimore so far.
What made that so real for everybody is that he was as good and he delivered on everything he said.
The game is over. The New York Jets are the world champions. They have upset the Baltimore Colts and beat them handily here today.
Joe, you're king of the hill.
No, we're king of the hill. We got the team, brother.
Jets won the Super Bowl. We go out and play football. Everybody was screaming, oh, I'm Namath. No, I'm Namath. Namath was a god.